everyone. This is Jay High from Couch and Keyboard, and we had the Full House Siege voting just happen. It was pretty crazy, so let's talk about it. So we had 6 players voted in, and like I assumed, that $2,300 was filled pretty fast. By in like 9 minutes, 6 people got in, and barely any funding to like independent funding really happened. It was like people had spirit bombs and boom. There was no reason to hold them. There was ample reason to get them there as soon as possible. This mix of players, I think, is pretty good. Um, yeah, you can argue here and there that it wasn't as good as it could have been. I think it's still going to be very good. I do like it. So, in order of who got in when, which there was only a few minutes apart, but I was like refreshing and seeing it. And first was None. A So he's from Nicaragua, moved to I believe the Toronto area, and has been a notable Captain Falcon player for like 11, 12 years, something like that. Tons of ranking that he's been on. I mean, got ranked in 2015. So he's been classic. He's people compared like the Wizrobe, S2J, None, like optimal, crazy S2Js in the middle type thing to where None would just do a lot of weird things. The culture behind Captain Falcon is kind of strange because then, okay, knee is hype unless Wizrobe does it, then but like up air is also not hype because it's not a risk. You go for the safe. Whatever. It's hard to keep up, and there's been some conflict with None with the Z jumpers, which there will be some in attendance. Um, but I think if you just want to play the game, None is going to have some really cool sets. I want to see if I think recently. I don't know why it's not. Recently, I think beat Josh Man, right? Yeah. This was last year at I want to say Gommel. No, the other Canadian tournament, Battle of BC. Since Josh Man might be his last year, this might be one of the few chances for Josh Man to get a win, and this was an online tournament, I believe. Because if it was offline, yeah. So this is one of the few players that Josh Man has not beaten yet. So I think this would be a nice little notch in the belt for Josh Man. But if None can do it again, it'd be like Sunsei and Leffen, where it's like, okay, you think it's a fluke? No, I beat you again. And yeah, I think this could be really interesting. A lot of these best wins that None has, these players aren't in attendance. But was he really good at the Falcon Ditto? Tons of wins. Um, one of the few players that has beaten Zane before. That is in attendance, and I think that it could be really interesting to see how None goes. Salt, I would say, is the discussion about Falcons was a little bit like old school because you had Godsu as well, and now you have Salt and yet a few others here and there. I would say it's kind of hard to compare None and Salt. I think that Salt is very in your face and fast, while None is maybe more unpredictable and not necessarily like is more of a mix up than speed. That's my guess. It's hard to kind of explain. But either way, having both of them there, I think having Falcon is I think it's good to have plenty of matches with Falcon in it. Now Falcon I think has been kind of like not as strong, but Wizrobe and Salt have done well enough to get in that. They were both the summer top 10. I guess Salt kind of fell down a little bit. None ranks have been a little bit iffy. Number 43 and 24 got up to number 26 and 25, no doubt, with the Josh Man win, with Josh Man being number 4. Beat HBox at that one Genesis. I do think that None can absolutely splash. I don't know what I'm saying. He make a splash. That's what I was saying. Next person I voted in a few minutes later was pretty surprising. Dawson. Now, there's been a few puffs that have started to get their names out there. We've seen Faust got that J-Mook win a few years ago. SCJ, of course, making the first puff, not each box to be in the top 10 since like probably Mango. Probably since they've done official rankings. Because I don't think any other puff has been top 10. And then you have Zasa in North Carolina. I think beat Dawson in a Puff Ditto at a tournament, and then also double eliminated Rat Monster, and then Rat Monster went to play Zane in the Thug Finals. But Dawson is a solid player. Tri-States, I believe, was in Philadelphia. Kind of bounced around, I think. But Dawson and Kim had this big rivalry. Shout outs to Me Want Kim Dawson now. Shout outs to Dark Gen X. We'll get to him later. But played a ton against each other. I don't think it showed up a ton here. Or maybe Kim was just that dominant. I don't know. But either way, has a ton of Fox experience and has wins across the board against a variety of different characters. Sheik, Peach, Ice Climbers, going to be more favorable matchups. But just seems to be a really solid player. I don't think it's as useful to have a second Jigglypuff for practice. I'll kind of get to that in a little bit for other characters. But I do think it's interesting to see different styles. I mean, how consistent is someone? Is Dawson going to be able to upset one of the Foxes? Or is it going to be, okay, I'm going to get out all my H-Box frustration on this other Puff here? And, I mean, I think that's if you take a poll, Dawson maybe not be the most popular, partially due to lack of exposure and playing Puff. But yeah, I mean, pretty solid. Being one of the best in Philadelphia and steadily getting better. We see some pretty good improvement here around the 70s and 80s, and then recently has been pretty good. So I think definitely could surprise some people. I think this is fine. I wasn't necessarily hoping for Dawson, but it's cool. Aura. A few minutes later, Aura got voted in. I really support this. Apparently, Salt is in Oregon now and is helping out. And was very happy to see Aura in. I am as well. I like Aura. Egg Dog had a few really close sets. I wasn't able to get too many big wins in, but definitely saw some crazy improvements. Eats foxes for breakfast. I mean, look at all these wins. Almost 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 of these foxes are going to be there, and has beaten all of them. Some of them multiple times. I mean, it's good to see a Peach that is good. And now we have multiple Peaches with Triff. There's also Laud. And I think having at least one of them there is good for the game. There was Polish a few years ago. There's a lot of Peaches. Surmaris. It's good to see Peaches there. And I'm glad we have at least one. It seems to be a little bit unclear about the overall kind of matchup spread. But Aura has never played Hungrybox or SDJ. So seeing how Aura does against Puff will be pretty interesting to see. I don't think it'll necessarily be that incredible, but Aura could prove him wrong, I think it's certainly possible. So I'm glad to see Aura getting more travel in there. And now, of course, if there's an invitational, who has to be involved, the Dark Gen X. Summit 13 was a big push from Dark Gen X. The Northeast, whether it be Tri-State or New England, always seems to get someone in. And we have pretty good representation here as well. Which this one, this was, I saw in Foresight Fights, shoutouts, I had a Reddit comment thread where Jaxilla was involved with, so that's cool. But this was a steal. $2,300, for sure. Like, it is a good deal. I mean, it could have been 10K for a chance to get in, if not more. So 2,300 was pretty low, and so I think Dargenex was more than happy to, and also has been doing pretty good. The last time Summit 13 was 2022, 2023? I think it was the fall of 22. I'm pretty sure. And so it was not very it was pretty early in the post quarantine meta, which matters more for Ultimate. But still, we've been post quarantine for a while now, and Dark Gen X didn't have the strongest tournament there. Also, I think did have to stop playing because COVID was starting to get spread at the event. And so I think Dark Gen X was very happy to be able to kind of finish their summit, kind of continue based off of that. Seems to be good against other ice climbers, which I think he has a Fox as well. So I think Slug was the Ditto. The character data I don't think is very complete here, but does have a Fox as well. I think SDJ, the win was against SDJ secondaries. But either way, pretty solid. Recently getting some good wins. I think also is just like pretty interesting. I like him as a commentator. I think that it's like, hey, if you have the ability to pay your way, then no doubt that Dark Gen X is going to be involved in some kind of way. And I think having an Ice Climbers involved is good. We've seen Ice Climbers taking a lot of wins between Nikki and Moth and Slug. So having another Ice Climbers in there who has beaten Slug in the Ditto very recently, I think would be pretty interesting to see. I'm not sure how well Dark Gen X will do in terms of recent wins. Yeah, I think Dark Gen X versus J-Mook would be very interesting because Sheik does struggle against Ice Climbers a lot. But we'll see. I think it'd be interesting. If anything, gives just people the opportunity to destroy some Ice Climbers, or catch them by surprise. I think it is interesting to have different character representation, even if it's not just the best. And then next was a Saucy Main, a number 14 in New England, Luigi. Now, I have been one to not dislike when a meme pick gets in. I was pro Yingling back in the Summit 11 days. I'm fine with it. Now, I think it did drive up the prize pool, while for here, it doesn't help the prize pool anymore because there was a set cap for buying your spot in. But I do think there is a decent amount of gain by the other entrants there. You get a Luigi to practice on. Now, that of course can go the other way to where the Prince of Boo method, where you get a lot of practice against top players for HBox, but you also get those matches as well. It goes both ways. So you get better the matchup as well. So I think this could be a very interesting opportunity where it's like, hey, you want some Rap Monster experience? I like to practice for him. I'm right here. Zane, play me for 3 hours. You haven't played him yet? Play me. I think this could be a huge level up for Saucy Main. I don't expect Saucy Main to win a set. Got a few wins, got some good wins. But, a couple foxes here and there. I don't expect Saucy Main to do that well, but I don't think this is a completely, he's not even going to take a game. I think he'll take a few games. But I don't think that it'll be a short-term gain. I think this is a long-term play where he's like, hey, I am the Luigi to practice against right here, and it only cost me $2,300. I think that is potentially good experience, and we might see New England power rankings changing up. And then our final player to get voted in the 9th minute was Magi. Magi has become probably the most popular Falco right now. With Mango's hiatus and Ginger kind of getting back into play, but was stepped away for a while. Not many people know as much about Ginger. and fiction, not always sticking with Falco, and also being a little more controversial. I think Magi is like probably the face of Falco right now in a lot of people's minds. Beat Ginger in the Ditto, and also beat let's see, it was Swift, yeah, because it was Ginger versus Magi, and then Cody versus Swift. Magi beat Ginger in the Ditto, I think 3-0. And then Swift beat Cody. So Ginger and Cody had to play in Losers Top 32, while those two winners played. Magi getting, I believe, ninth at Genesis because of losing to Triff. And yeah. Who else did they lose to? Crudo. Yeah, she lost to Crudo. Yeah, that's tough. Crudo's pretty good. So, yeah, I think she also has a lot of Zayn wins. Now, 2 of these were at Redemption Rumble, I believe, and it was kind of like Zayn and Cody. It's kind of hard to know for sure how hard they were playing, and then like one of them was against Don't Test Me, and like, so you could argue that these don't matter as much, but when you have 3 wins against someone, it's hard to just be like, they don't matter. I think like Zayn hasn't had to play against Falco very much. And Zayn got so focused on the Falco matchup. You know, some of his biggest defeats were against Mango's Falco. And like all these things to where I think that having Falco involved is so healthy for the game. I was kind of saying it with Falcon before, but Falco is so important for Melee. Not just because of Mango, not just because of, you know, Spacey Blip Blip, but I think Falco is such a good archetype for high-level Melee. I think that floaties are overhated and they're really exciting, but give me some Falco. Like, Falco is so cool. And as a Mark main, I don't always like playing against Falco, but I do like having Falco on the screen win or lose. I think it is really interesting. It makes things so tense because Falco can win or Falco can lose really fast. Both of them can just happen like that. So, and has a ton of wins. I mean, Jmook, Moki, Assault, like a ton of good wins. Josh Man, and I think that Magi has the potential to be the highest placing of these 6. I would not be surprised if Magi outplaces Aura, None, and the rest. So yeah, pretty good spread here. Saw some arguments saying that it was not very hype. I think the price should have been a little bit higher, or even do it a larger invitational. I think that people are stuck on 16. It can be larger, but you know, I think that that's pretty fine. I think if people understand that's like, hey, like, it's all good to try different things. No one is forced to do the same thing every time. Innovation can come through things that may not be very popular at the time, but yeah. And so here is the character spread. I had figured this out on my own, but shout out to Willow. I've collabed with her in the past with different YouTube stuff. But yeah, I think that 4 Foxes, fair amount. I would say I'm kind of glad there wasn't a Fox voted in. Dark Gen X might go Fox as a secondary, but definitely most known for ICs and would likely go ICs mostly. And I think this is a good mix. Now, notably, Axe didn't get invited because of Lucky Seven's algorithm suggesting that Jmook had a better year. And Axe did not get voted in. It's not attending out of the blue. So we likely won't have a Pikachu representative. We won't have a Samus. Won't have a Doc or a DK. Yeah, and no Yoshi. Probably no Link with Aklo. But this is decent character variety here. I think that Luigi has become kind of the new DK in a lot of ways in terms of popularity and like potential to like bring eyes to the game. And you have 2 of them. And I think that not only is there benefits to wanting to practice against one for the other, usually against Saucy Main for Rat Monster. But I think it just kind of gives it more stylistically. I mean, Rat Monster is so fast with wavelands of movement, and maybe there's like kind of like, okay, what's the difference between Rat Monster and other Luigis? I think you could really expand the Luigi meta just by like looking at from game to game what happens. And you have a few repeats, Falcon, Salt, and None. There might be some practice wanted based on this. I imagine it would just be more casual, like hey friendlies, instead of trying to grind the Falcon matchup, because people know the Falcon matchup. But I think it's good to have multiple Falcons. We'll see multiple puffs. Again, I wasn't top of the order for Dawson. My main two were for Magi and Aura. But I think this is a really good matchup. Like a roster of characters. Sunsei, also really cool to see. Really good at the Fox Ditto. All these guys are really good at the Fox Ditto. And in terms of who I want to see, I would like all of these players. I would probably prefer Ossify. I do really like Ossify. Ginger, I wouldn't hate out Ginger. He's one of the ones I wanted originally. I didn't see Ossify on the list. I probably wouldn't have wanted Ossify, but Slug has entered more, so it's not like I don't see Slug very much. Wizzy, I have two Falcons already. I don't need to see Wizzy, but this is not based off of what I want. This is who's going to earn it. Who I think is going to earn it is probably going to be Wizzy. Crudo, Ossify, I think have a better chance than Ginger, although Ginger got fourth at Supernova last year. Zamu has a lot of potential, but she's best known for like beating Cody once and getting a few solid runs to top 8 at some smaller majors or regionals, whatever you want to call it. Slug been kind of not as strong as 2022. But yeah, I think any of these players definitely could get it. I'm predicting it'll be Wizrobe, but I'd probably prefer Ossify. So I think there's also benefit there. Like, for Sheik, you're probably, like, practicing for J-Moog is probably not as necessary. But, like, practicing for Marth, like, imagine Zane playing as Saucy Main and Rab Monster playing as Ossify. Like, I mean, I think that would just push the meta so far. And it'd be so hype. I also just like Ossify. I think he's super stylish and really cool to see. I think definitely could break into that top 10 range, kind of taking over where Kadoran left off, potentially even higher. Yeah, I really like this roster here. And we also see Swiss pools, which I'm a huge fan of. It's a little bit harder to follow, but I think that Swiss is so helpful because instead of potentially 4 players going 0-3, you only have 2, and they're still in later. You have more higher level sets. I mean, like you have some of the stuff where Cody HBox, Zane Moki, like these Zane Moki is a huge set because of that first time that Moki got a shot. I think some invitationals don't give the higher seeds the chance to play earlier on. And I do really like that. And I mean, Josh Manmoki here, Zane Mango, Cody Salt. Like we have these extra sets here across the board. I think Swiss really allows for a great opportunity for a lot of matches across the board. And then you go top 8 here. And I think this is a good format. I'm not sure if they're doing it again. I'm pretty sure they are. I'm pretty confident they are. And yeah, I mean, I do think that you could maybe reward some of the higher seeds a little bit more. But just having tons of sets of close seeded players, I mean, look at all these Game 5s here. I don't think that's a coincidence because the seeds there are more likely to have closer matches because of how it's done. Round Robin doesn't really give more like seed closeness. It usually just gives more like variety of matchups, which is usually not going to do that much more unless you change. Like the 4x4 is just a clean, but I think lazy way of doing it. I like Swiss a lot. So I'm really looking forward to not only out of the blue for the LCQ spot, but the Invitational itself. And those both will be coming up the end of each month with Out of the Blue on the 28th of March and Full House at the end of the month in April. I think the 24th or 26th. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I encourage you to look up more about these players. There's more events before here. Some players are going to both that are already in. So I think that could be a nice like preview of what's happening. I'm curious if Ravmaster is going in. Yeah, probably not. That's a little bit farther away for Ravmaster. Just went to Genesis. I understand not overspending. But yeah, I mean this event stacked in of itself. You got J Mook and Moki and Josh Man and Zane. H box as well. So I think that this could be a ton of really good sets to lead up to it. Kind of help with the first quarter of the year not just being Genesis and then nothing else. I think that there's a lot of hype earlier on. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. So, all right, peace out.